Somewhere in the mountains of Afghanistan, 2011, a team of American Special Forces operators moves through the darkness toward a high-value target. They need speed, they need silence, and they need overwhelming firepower in a package small enough to maneuver through tight corridors and narrow alleyways. The weapon in their hands is not a standard-issue rifle. It's compact, suppressed, and deadly at close to medium range. It fires subsonic ammunition that whispers through the night, and it's named after one of the most fearless animals on the planet, the Honey Badger. This rifle didn't come from a massive defense contractor with billion-dollar budgets. It came from a small company in Georgia with a radical idea. What if you could combine the compactness of a submachine gun, the stopping power of a rifle, and the silence of a suppressed weapon into one platform? Subscribe and hit the bell to discover how the AAC Honey Badger became the weapon that modern operators swear by. It was 2010. The wars in Iraq and Afghanistan had been raging for nearly a decade. American Special Forces had learned hard lessons about urban combat, close-quarters battle, and the limitations of standard infantry rifles. The M4 carbine was reliable and accurate, but it was too long for tight spaces when fitted with a suppressor. The MP5 submachine gun was compact and quiet, but it lacked the range and stopping power needed in open terrain. Operators needed something in between, something that could transition seamlessly from room clearing to medium-range engagements, something that could be suppressed without becoming unwieldy, and something that could fire subsonic ammunition without sacrificing reliability. Advanced Armament Corporation, known as AAC, saw this gap and decided to fill it. They weren't trying to replace the M4. They were trying to create a new category of weapon entirely. The man behind the Honey Badger was Kevin Brittingham, founder of AAC and a pioneer in suppressor technology. Brittingham understood that suppression wasn't just about making a weapon quieter, it was about making operators more effective. A suppressed weapon reduces muzzle flash, protects hearing, and makes it harder for enemies to locate the shooter. But most suppressed rifles of the era were heavy, front-loaded, and awkward to handle. Brittingham wanted to design a weapon where the suppressor was not an accessory, but an integral part of the platform. He started with the AR-15 platform, the foundation of the M4 and M16 rifles, because it was proven, modular, and familiar to operators. But he made radical changes. He shortened the barrel to just 6 inches, far shorter than any standard rifle. He designed a proprietary upper receiver with a built-in suppressor that added minimal length and weight. And he chambered the weapon in 300 AAC Blackout, a cartridge specifically designed to perform with both supersonic and subsonic ammunition. The 300 Blackout cartridge was key to the Honey Badger's success. Developed by AAC in collaboration with Remington, it was based on the 5.56 NATO case, necked up to accept a .30 caliber bullet. This allowed the cartridge to fit in standard AR-15 magazines and use the same bolt and lower receiver. But unlike 5.56, the 300 Blackout could fire heavy subsonic bullets at velocities below the speed of sound, eliminating the supersonic crack that gives away a shooter's position. When loaded with subsonic ammunition and fired through the Honey Badger's integrated suppressor, the weapon produced a sound no louder than a nail gun. A sharp, metallic thump, barely audible beyond 50 meters. But when loaded with supersonic ammunition, the same weapon could deliver devastating energy at ranges up to 300 meters. It was 2 weapons in one, depending on the mission and the ammunition selected. The Honey Badger's design was unconventional in almost every way. The 6-inch barrel was so short that it required a special tax stamp under US law, classifying it as a short-barreled rifle. The integrated suppressor extended the overall length to just over 20 inches, shorter than most suppressed pistols. The weapon weighed less than 6 pounds fully loaded, making it one of the lightest suppressed rifles ever built. It featured a side-folding stock that reduced the overall length to just 16 inches when collapsed, allowing it to be carried in a backpack or under a jacket. The upper receiver was machined from a single block of aluminum, with the suppressor baffles built directly into the design. This eliminated the need for a separate suppressor mount and reduced the number of potential failure points. The result was a weapon that looked like nothing else on the market, compact, aggressive, and purpose-built for close-quarters combat. But the Honey Badger was more than just a technical achievement. It was a cultural statement. The name itself was a reference to the honey badger animal, known for its fearlessness and refusal to back down from any fight. A viral video from 2011, narrated by a comedian, had made the honey badger a symbol of toughness and irreverence. AAC embraced this image. They marketed the honey badger not as a military contract weapon, but as a tool for those who operated outside the conventional rules. Special forces operators, private military contractors, and law enforcement tactical teams were the target audience, and they responded enthusiastically. The Honey Badger became a cult favorite among those who valued performance over politics, function over form. The first operational use of the Honey Badger is difficult to confirm due to the classified nature of special operations. But reports began to surface in 2012 and 2013 of American operators using compact suppressed rifles in Afghanistan and Iraq that matched the Honey Badger's description. One account, never officially verified, described a night raid on a Taliban compound in Helmand province. A team of Navy SEALs approached the target on foot, moving through a narrow mountain pass. They encountered sentries at close range. Using suppressed honey badgers loaded with subsonic ammunition, the SEALs eliminated the guards without alerting the compound. The raid was completed in under 10 minutes. No alarms were raised, no reinforcements arrived. The silence of the honey badger had allowed the team to maintain the element of surprise from start to finish. But the weapon's effectiveness went beyond silence. The 300 Blackout cartridge, even in subsonic form, delivered significantly more energy than a 9mm pistol round. At close range, it was devastating. The heavy subsonic bullets, weighing up to 220 grains, penetrated body armor and retained enough energy to incapacitate targets instantly. And because the Honey Badger used a standard AR-15 lower receiver, operators could switch between subsonic and supersonic magazines in seconds, adapting to changing tactical situations without changing weapons. This versatility made the Honey Badger ideal for the fluid, unpredictable nature of modern combat, where engagements could shift from room clearing to long-range firefights in moments. However, the Honey Badger was not without controversy. In 2013, AAC was acquired by Freedom Group, a large firearms conglomerate. The acquisition brought capital and resources, but it also brought corporate bureaucracy and shifting priorities. Development of the Honey Badger slowed, production runs were limited, and the weapon's price remained high, making it inaccessible to most civilian shooters and even some law enforcement agencies. Kevin Brittingham, frustrated by the direction of the company he had founded, eventually left AAC. He went on to establish Q, a new firearms company focused on innovative suppressed weapons. One of Q's first products was the Honey Badger, redesigned and improved based on lessons learned from the original AAC version. The Q Honey Badger featured a refined suppressor design, improved ergonomics, and modular construction that allowed users to configure the weapon for different missions. The legacy of the original AAC Honey Badger, however, remained intact. It had proven that a rifle could be compact, suppressed, and powerful without compromise. It had demonstrated that subsonic ammunition could be tactically viable in real-world combat. And it had inspired a new generation of weapons designed around the concept of integrated suppression. Today, multiple manufacturers produce rifles and pistols chambered in 300 Blackout, many of them directly influenced by the Honey Badger's design philosophy. The cartridge itself has become one of the most popular in the United States, used by hunters, sport shooters, and tactical professionals alike. And the Honey Badger, in both its AAC and Q iterations, continues to be used by special operations units around the world. One of the most interesting aspects of the Honey Badger is its impact on suppressor technology. Before the Honey Badger, most suppressors were designed as aftermarket accessories, attached to existing rifles with threaded mounts or quick-detach systems. The Honey Badger also highlighted the importance of ammunition selection in tactical operations. The 300 Blackout cartridge's ability to switch between subsonic and supersonic loads gave operators unprecedented flexibility. In urban environments, where noise discipline and overpenetration are critical concerns, subsonic ammunition allowed operators to engage targets with minimal sound signature and reduced risk to civilians. In open terrain, where range and energy are paramount, supersonic ammunition provided the ballistic performance needed to engage threats at distance. This adaptability made the Honey Badger a true multi-role weapon, capable of excelling in diverse operational environments. But perhaps the most enduring legacy of the Honey Badger is cultural. It represented a shift in how the firearms industry approached weapon design. For decades, military and law enforcement weapons were designed by large defense contractors in response to formal government requirements. Innovation was slow, driven by bureaucracy and risk aversion. The Honey Badger was different. It was designed by a small company driven by the needs of end users and brought to market without a government contract. It was a weapon designed for operators, by people who understood what operators needed, and it succeeded because it worked. This bottom-up approach to innovation has become increasingly common in the firearms industry, with small companies and individual designers creating weapons that challenge the status quo and push the boundaries of what's possible. Today, more than a decade after its introduction, the Honey Badger remains relevant. It is used by special operations units, law enforcement tactical teams, and private security contractors in conflict zones around the world. It has appeared in films, video games, and television shows as a symbol of cutting-edge tactical technology, and it continues to inspire new designs and innovations in suppressed weapons. The Q Honey Badger, the spiritual successor to the original AAC version, has refined the concept even further with improved modularity, enhanced suppressor performance, and a growing ecosystem of accessories and configurations. But the core idea remains the same: a compact, suppressed, powerful rifle that gives operators the tools they need to succeed in the most demanding environments. There is also a deeper lesson in the story of the Honey Badger. It reminds us that the best solutions often come from those who are closest to the problem. Kevin Brittingham and his team at AAC were not career defense contractors. They were shooters, suppressors, designers, and innovators who saw a gap in the market and filled it with creativity and determination. They didn't wait for a government contract or a formal request for proposals. They built what they believed operators needed, and they were proven right. This entrepreneurial spirit, this willingness to take risks and challenge conventions, is what drives progress in any field, and it's what made the Honey Badger possible. So the next time you hear about a suppressed weapon, a compact rifle or a subsonic cartridge, remember the Honey Badger. Remember the small company in Georgia that dared to rethink what a rifle could be. Remember the operators who carried it into the darkness of Afghanistan and Iraq, trusting their lives to its silence and its power. And remember that sometimes the most effective weapons are not the ones designed by committees or approved by bureaucrats. Sometimes the most effective weapons are the ones designed by people who understand the mission, who listen to the users, and who refuse to accept that something can't be done simply because it hasn't been done before. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe, hit the bell and share this video, because there are many more stories like this waiting to be told. What other modern weapon do you think changed the rules of combat? Leave your answer in the comments.